Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the GA Patch Notes. We just had our break where we were joined with Greedies, and now we are joined by the Long Week. We've got
Hello.
some familiar faces here.
How's it going?
Hello,
If
hello.
you'd like to reintroduce yourselves to the people.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Isaac, the lead and only designer to The Long Week. I know.
Oh my
I'm Harvey, environment artist and right-hand man to Isaac.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
how it breaks down.
Nice.
It's beauty.
If you want to give like another elevator pitch like you did last time, just for people that aren't familiar with the game,
Yeah,
people it's the
absolutely.
first
So The
time hearing
Long
about it.
Week, sorry to cut you off,
No, it's fine.
is so our brief was psychedelia. So
Yeah.
we're basing our game off psychedelics, and you are making your way through a house which is representation of your mind, dealing with Jungian archetypes, which, if you're not familiar, essentially the study of psychology through what is it, Carl Jung?
Mhm.
Carl Jung's kind of like lens, and we're using this
Okay.
as a way to kind of like push the narrative while exploring a house which rearranges itself.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
So it's been 2 months now since we did the first podcast,
Yes.
and at that point it was very much the concept. It was it
Yes.
was it was very early,
Yeah.
and
Very
now
much
now
so.
you're in full production.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, how much has it changed? So, I mean, obviously it's changed a lot, but how much in terms of the fundamentals has it changed since that phase?
To be honest, I think we've been quite lucky.
Yeah.
We've actually been able to keep a lot of the fundamentals the
Yeah.
same.
Okay.
They haven't had to change too much. It's because a lot of how our team functions is, as I mentioned, I'm like the only designer. We've got Oliver as well, goated, great. He's our programmer. We've got Jaden as well, who does esports and does our marketing side. But then other than that, it's just all artists.
Okay.
So a lot of what we're doing is like we work in an agile for format as like the university kind of recommends us to.
Yeah.
But even regardless of that, we're almost working on assets which can all fall in together within like the last couple months. So we're now getting
Okay.
to that stage where assets are kind of being finalized, being put in. The spaces where before we kind of showed you a spatial, kind of like just how the spatial puzzles would work, and
Yeah.
it was a little bit messier. And we've got a little bit of a nicer example to show today, which
Yeah.
is still got some way to go, but
Yeah.
it'll get there. But to be honest, it's not changed too much, I wouldn't say.
No, I think the main mechanics and core design of the game is the exact same.
Yeah.
It's just getting things in now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You haven't had to cut anything.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We've still got a couple months for that,
Yeah.
so we'll see. But
Just
for
been
now, we're
adding
doing it.
things, actually. We've been adding new ideas rather
Exactly.
than cutting things. Yeah.
So it's been pretty easy.
That's yeah. So the main game design obviously is going through the house and it's deteriorating. Your mind's deteriorating.
Yes.
And what I like about it is the geometry of the way the rooms work.
Yes.
The non-Euclidean geometry.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
I actually learned how to say that word just then
Well
because
done.
it's such a hard word.
It is.
But I wanted to talk through that a little bit and actually about how are you making it because you want it to be almost disorientating
Yes.
for the player, right?
Absolutely.
But you also want to make it so that it's not impossible for them to
Yeah.
move through the environment. So how is that fine line between keeping the player confused
Well,
while
not
also
well, not going too deep in the
yeah
like
yeah
confusion.
exactly
To be honest, I think the way we focus on that is honestly, it's just a lot of playtesting.
yeah
It's just giving it to people going and working out if it's just too much and trying to like at this point the video will show you and the gameplay will show you doesn't quite at this point have a lot of the signposting we'd like.
Mm.
So for now, it's a lot of going. This is where there'll be more signposting.
yeah
And I think it's really trying to walking that line is walking your line of signposting without then holding the hand of like when you play like God of War Ragnarok and you go, wow, there's a puzzle here, and you've got Atreus going, have you tried the solution of the puzzle? And it's like it's trying to find like the middle
Yeah,
ground
yeah,
there, and
yeah.
it's tricky, but a lot of it's through again agile, just playtesting each week, trying to get people to try it out and just really understand where they're having issues and
yeah.
just balance it around that.
I'm sure that it's going to be pretty hard to make it seamless.
Yes, and that was a big challenge.
Because you don't want to ruin the experience or take them out of the immersion
Exactly.
if they see the room just
Yeah,
changed.
so there's kind of like two things which like really help with that.
Yeah.
One is that we're making sure like for anyone who knows design and programming out there, we're using raycasting so that
Okay.
when you kind of enter the space where the house would start to rearrange itself, that you have to be looking at the correct point, so that when the house rearranges, you can't see any of the instantiation and like
Okay.
destruction of objects
Yeah.
essentially. That's like the really big thing on it. It's just and also a lot of other similar games. There's a game called Antichamber, which does something very similar in like it's non-Euclidean spatial puzzles.
Okay.
But they teleport the player, which fantastic method to do. But the hard thing about that is you've got to make sure you're teleporting the player exactly into the exact correct coordinate. Otherwise, you can see like the corner is going to be in a slightly wrong
Yeah,
place when it
yeah.
teleports. You're going to go something's changed.
Something changed, yeah.
So we've gone with moving the house around the player as opposed to the player through the
Moving
house.
yeah.
So
That's good. That sounds good. Um, in terms of the art style, then we'll move on to that because obviously you want to have that feel of mystery, but also discovery and finding out
Absolutely.
everything about the house. I wanted to ask because obviously we have the people around the house you'll be interacting with, and over time your mind will get disorientated, and you'll begin to
Mhm.
lose your sanity and whatever. I wanted to know what about the environment will also change along with those characters, I guess. What in the environment will also change to reflect that insanity?
Well, I should probably throw this one over to
Yeah,
our environment artist here.
yeah. So Owen and I, the other environment artists, we've been figuring out this question. One idea we've had is to include animated textures. So based on a toggle, textures like patterned rugs and like ornamental wallpaper will begin to become fractals and kind of animate inside of the scene. Um, and the idea is that as the game progresses, these animations and the color becomes more vibrant and everything becomes more chaotic and extreme. And I think through that we showed the player kind of losing their mind, and through dialogue as well, we can show what's going on.
What's
The
going,
player's losing his
going
mind.
on?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. And yeah, I think just something you mentioned was kind of like almost the color becoming more vivid as you play, and I think that's a big
Okay,
part.
yeah,
And you'll see it as well in the demo. Is like at the moment our demo is quite colorless and
yeah.
monotone, but that's the intention. Is we want the game to start off where you have an understanding of the house, and as you walk around, it starts to become weird and more colorful, more
yeah.
vibrant. So
The
then that
yeah,
psychedelic element becomes very clear.
yeah. The way I've been thinking about it is a bit like the Stanley Parable. So the start of the game is kind of aggressively
Okay,
mundane.
yeah.
But as the game progresses, we kind of raise the chromatic aberration and all this stuff, and it becomes a bit more unique as well as colorful. So it's not just a bland setting, but it's kind of alive as well as, you know, colorful. It's more than just a
More
house.
than just a
Yeah,
house.
yeah,
And the characters that are in this house, they're obviously going to be the main part of the
Hmm.
game. You have to interact with them and come to terms with
Yes,
your subconscious and stuff like that.
exactly.
And how will they react with the environment? How will they be in the environment? Is it like a
So the characters are like I'll quickly flick through a
yeah,
little
it's
bit of
fine.
the playlist, or not playlist, the PowerPoint. So you can see some of the ideas of what some of these characters may start looking like. So all the characters you're really going to interact with are animated objects
Okay.
because again, as we're basing it off like the psychedelia brief, you have this like big concept within like psychedelics and
Yeah.
that whole study of like the idea of like ego death and becoming one with everything around you, and then the idea that these inanimate objects around you, maybe they're like living as well. And we're really trying to like work with that. So a lot of these objects you're going to come across are like animated objects, and a lot of the ways you're going to like interact with them and how they kind of like they may not even really always address the changes unless it's very obvious or something which kind of needs to be handheld to the
Yeah,
player a
yeah.
little bit. Sometimes it's one of those where this is just so normal to them. They're the living radiator spiders we see on the screen now. It's like to them, the room being upside down is going to be just normal. They can
Yeah.
fly anywhere. So it really depends on the character and like who they are. But there's ideas going around of like the darker looking characters actually being the ones to help you, and then you have like these
Okay.
cutesy looking characters who are actually trying to mislead you and almost like just you trust them because they're so cute, and
Yeah.
then you realize, wait, no, they're lying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've got different ideas here, some cuter ideas here. So this little lamp guy is one who might follow you around, like be able to help show you
Okay.
different walls which actually
Oh,
aren't real
that's cool.
walls.
Yeah.
So
Don't trust the lamp.
exactly. But so just get a different idea of some of our concept art as we click through. But yeah,
That's cool, yeah. And in terms of the characters, obviously they all have their own personalities, I guess, and their own dialogue that changes the
yes,
story. Of course, that's one of the main parts as well, is it can change you speaking with these characters, and depending on what you do, can change the world around you.
absolutely.
Yeah. And so how does that work?
So one good example I can give is we've got Owen working on a record player at the moment,
Mhm.
and for instance, I feel like music's such a big part of like the
Oh,
psychedelic experience. And so with that, we want to make sure that music was embedded within. So Will's working on like his own soundtracks. I'm working on some stuff with guitar, but we're really trying to find like. My mind's gone blank. Why has it done that? Could you repeat the question one more time?
So obviously the characters themselves, you want to when you interact with them,
Yes.
it will change the world around you. How would that work in terms of
Yes, of course.
the
Sorry, with
story?
the record
It's
player.
fine.
So as you like, so
It's
of
fine.
course, we want the music to be part of
Yeah.
like this whole thing. So the idea is maybe as you walk in the living room, as you put one record on, a pathway or a doorway might change,
Okay.
and they'll be tied to the sound of the record and the name and so on. But as you interact with them, you might have one dialogue tree you go down, and as they talk about this part of their personality, maybe that's represented within the house, and that becomes available. So it depends
Yeah.
what parts of the characters you make vulnerable through conversation as well.
Yeah.
So we have a core gameplay loop right now surrounding the child, the mother, and the father, and the jester. So these are like core Jungian archetypes that we're basing these characters off of. And one idea we have is that each room is kind of their habitat. So, for example, the child's room will be like very much indicative of their personality. So it's like a child's cot and very playful objects and so on. And we're playing with the idea of having kind of two personalities between each character. So you have the positive and negative. So the child,
Okay.
maybe one side of them is full of wonder and glee, and then the other side is kind of full of fear and full of dependence. And so I think what we'd like to do ideally is try and represent these personalities within the room and through the changes in the room.
Yeah.
And we'll see how far we come along with that, because it's more of a stretch goal, I
Yeah.
think, for
That's-
now.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I feel like that's still stuff which, like, even if we're not able to fully realize, like, these full narrative branches which completely change the house, even if we're not able to fully realize that, this idea of two sides to these archetypes is something which I think is very much still going to come up. Like when
Yeah.
we're talking about dialogue for the father, for instance, like there's like not this is necessarily going to be in the final game, but there's like ideas of dialogue about a voice being heard in the dreams, a voice of like fire and love, and it's like these two contrasts. It's like whose voice is this? What is this fire and love? Of course, if we spoilers, but if we dig out of it, we can always take a look at like the father, like the idea of like this very angry father who's also trying to lovingly guide their child, but they've got this dark side to themselves, which makes the child regress, and as we'll show in the demo in a minute, makes the character shrink down.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, and each character, when you interact with them, there's kind of a linked ability that happens. So with the child, as you mentioned, after interacting with the child, you'll shrink as the player, and we're playing with other ideas for the mother and father as well.
yeah, we've
Yeah.
just got Oliver's been working on getting a system going where we can rotate rooms, so that as you're
Ooh.
walking through, you might see a room on the ceiling you can't get to, but you're able to then maybe with like the father's power, this sort of like
Yeah.
absolute power sort of idea, like the man of
Yeah,
the
he's the
house.
authority
Yeah.
figure,
Yeah,
yeah,
like he's
yeah.
able to like using this power, you're able to rotate it, so then the door which would be on the ceiling would instead be in front of you,
Okay.
and you'd be
Yeah.
walking along like the brick walls instead.
That's cool.
So
Yeah.
we've got that mechanic coming in. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of different things which are piecing together.
Okay, that's cool. Do
Yeah.
you want to maybe
Yeah.
get the build up,
Absolutely.
and we'll get into it. See what it's all about.
I really like
Ooh.
the authority figure father
Yes,
idea.
right.
It's quite cool.
So yeah, so this is our current main menu, done by our fantastic concept artist Will. So we've got a little gallery here. We'll flick through them. This is just some ideas of different images you'll find throughout the game. So this is Jazzy's concept for our main character, who you also see on the main menu.
Yeah.
And then more art from Will. You'll see a little bit more from Jazzy at some point, I think, as well. Yep, here we go. But yeah, so these are different concept art pieces, what the house would look like, as well as some views from like outside the house,
Yeah.
through windows, as we wanted to get this kind of like painterly aesthetic,
Yeah.
especially with the idea of disassociation, where you feel like you're not quite part of your outside and your surroundings. So the outside of the house looking painted, and then also getting weirder as the game goes
Yeah.
on. So we'll press play. There's no audio yet, but there will be beautiful audio by the time the game is
That's
done.
fine. Oh, that looks cool.
I know. So we come into game.
Ah,
Here we are. I'm going to move the mic slightly so you can
That
still
is
hear me as I
fine.
talk. So my movement might be a little janky as I am using a mouse pad right now.
That's fine.
But yeah, so the house is a little empty right now, but if you recall from the last one, this is now much neater and put together than it was. We're not getting clipping walls and colours making nice psychedelic patterns, let's say. But yeah, so as we come through, we've got like the living room, just kind of giving you an idea of the house before we show off some of the non-Euclidean stuff. So this would be the office, and it will be populated. We've got our environment artist working on a range of assets at the moment. We've got a living room here. Over here is where you'll find the record player at some point.
Yeah.
But also something to
Stone's
note as you
work.
look out. if they want to blink in time. Yes, our skybox is
Oh,
animated,
I like
so
that.
the eyes stare and blink at you.
This looks great. Yeah, these are all Owen's assets that
They
he
are.
made.
Cool, and then we'll come downstairs. We'll quickly. You're getting a very beautiful view of this as I have to use the trackpad. But I'll show off the kitchen as well here. This is Harvey's Majesty. This is his work,
My majesty.
which
Very
looks
nice.
fantastic, I'd like to say.
It does.
Yeah, I think we're gonna add more filler assets later in the production phase to fill
Yes,
the house up more.
100%. We've got Alex working on stuff like bin bags and just like different items to
Yeah,
populate the house, make it
course.
look messier. And then also we can create versions of rooms. So, you know, a version of, let's say, the bedroom, which is really messy, one which is
Okay,
like
yeah.
pristinely clean. So you can also tell a narrative just with the state of the bedrooms
yeah,
and
of
like
course,
happy
yeah.
rooms. But now we'll show you a little bit of an idea of how the non-Euclidean geometry is coming along. So
Sure.
as we push to what would be the cellar, we'll come through to where the fuse box will be. Imagine the power's gone out. Oh wow, we've just changed the fuse. But as you've gone in and you've changed the fuse, you've realised the room behind you's changed. This isn't where we came in before.
Ah.
Spooky.
For now, these are just endless eye walls, but these will lead off into their own strange non-Euclidean.
Oh, I love this so much. I love
right?
that.
It looks so cool. It
Yeah.
looks
We
so
can
cool.
highlight it once more here again.
It's just the way it doesn't move,
I know. It's
Yeah.
the way
but
it's
everything
locked
else
on.
does. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
cool.
It's so trippy, which is
It's
exactly what we want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's perfect.
And then as we come through into the living room once more, as we walk around, you'll notice, oh, it looks just like the living room again. It wasn't on the bottom floor before, but the way again we came in
Oh
is
my.
gone. And now, if we walk through, circling all the way through, we start to shrink. So, how this will work in the final version of the game is that there'll be rooms and sequences like this where as you walk through, looping through, you get smaller and smaller,
Okay.
being able to access different cracks in the walls where there's these whole spaces which before you had no
Ah,
idea were
okay,
there, but
yeah.
as you shrink down, regressing from the fire and like the angle of the father, you're able to then explore these other areas, but then you're stuck and you've almost got to deal with this anger and these complicated emotions and then get back to the size you were before.
Sounds so cool.
So, but yeah, it's all. This is our main loop at the moment. We honestly last night I was up late making sure that we
Late.
got a nice looking version of the house with all of Harvey's just assets.
No,
for
it,
the
it looks
walls
it
and
looks
doors.
incredible. It looks
Thank you.
incredible.
But I'll bring us back to the main menu just because I feel like it's a nicer view.
Oh, it is. It looks incredible.
I know. How can we not?
And so, in terms of obviously we saw there, that's like obviously it's just an early build. But you said over time at the start it'll be more, I guess, dull, and then over time you'll add the color. How are you planting the seeds of doubt in the players' heads
Yeah.
at the start? Sort of, making them seem like, okay, this
It's
isn't.
mainly through dialogue, firstly through the objects that you interact with, and then also we're thinking of sprinkling in notes and passages that
Okay.
you might find around the house, and maybe like lists and chores that you're meant to do, and in all these things, there's kind of hints in them that tick the player off into
Yeah.
something's not quite right here.
But we also don't want to set it too hard until stuff just changes.
Yeah.
You kind of want to put maybe not a slight sign that something's not right, but we've got here in the current intro sequence that this is you taking the pills and this is the start. Chances are, with the way we play the game, the first 5 minutes or so is most likely going to be a bit more standard. First 3 to 5 minutes, you're going around the house, you're getting
Nice.
used to the layout.
Yeah.
This is where the kitchen is, this is where the cellar is, blah blah blah. And then after about 5 minutes or so, you'll take the pills as the intro animation shows, and that's when things start to get weird. That's when the teleportation starts going on.
Yeah.
The lamp, which was just in the corner before, is now that weird, creepy humanoid lamp
Yeah,
we've seen in
yeah.
concept art. But yeah,
Yeah.
So you guys have been working together now for 4 months,
Mhm.
and how have you come together as a team? Obviously, I mean, there's a lot of artists,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I was gonna ask like, how have you come together with different skill sets? But I guess artists have a lot of the same skill sets. But just as a team in general, how have you come together
Yeah.
to
Really well.
from
We
the
actually
start?
talked like last week about how we actually really enjoy just hanging with the team.
honestly, yeah, I
It's-
feel
we
very
got
lucky.
really
with
lucky.
the team.
Yeah.
Like everyone's go-to. I joke sometimes that I feel like we should call the team Sick'em. Like the tone with dogs where you go Sick'em
Sick-
boy.
sick,
Sorry.
yeah.
And it's a bit like, because sometimes as a designer I'm going, okay, so here's the concept of a level. This is what we need for it. Go, go, go.
Yeah.
That's sometimes how it feels. But I love the team. Everyone's always coming out with great ideas. We've got like such contrasting art styles as well, from like Jazzy's very cute, almost more anime, like manga style art, to like Alex's really gruesome stuff. Like we
Yeah.
get this lovely contrast, which also allows us to push for that
Yeah.
juxtaposition
Yeah,
in the art
that's what
style.
you want as well,
Yeah,
don't you?
exactly.
Yeah, the
It's already-
difference,
yeah.
the very trippy, the difference between the art styles, very juxtaposed, as you
Yeah.
said.
But I just feel very lucky we've got team members who are willing to like jump in across the board. Like Alex is, he's a character artist. He still wants to jump in the environment. We've got Will doing music, animations. Even though he could just say, "I'm just going to do drawings."
Yeah, and Elliot's doing all three. Elliot's doing concept,
my
environment, and character.
Yeah, I
so
know.
Oh
it's-
my goodness,
it's
man.
very
We're some hard
impressive.
workers.
We do. I'm very lucky.
And now that you've got about 2 months left until Expo, deadlines.
Gotta grind.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
love to
Grind.
see it. Obviously, this is a safe place, so I don't want to talk about that stuff, but we have to,
I
of
know.
course. I know, I'm so sorry. How are you guys feeling as a team and individually? How are you guys feeling about this?
I think I'm quite confident. I can't speak for you, but I think that with the way our game works, it's just a matter of putting things in, and we have most of the assets and ideas there. It's just kind of the threshold for gameplay is around the corner. I
Yeah.
think.
Absolutely.
But,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm on the same boat. Highly stressed,
Highly
but
stressed.
Yeah.
I feel confident. I feel like we're gonna like produce a good. Like I feel like the game's gonna produce well, and in some ways I feel like we've had difficulties because of the way we're approaching this game and the way this game kind of has to be developed. Is we're taught agile. For anyone listening who doesn't know agile, you make a game each week and you iterate upon it essentially each week, every 2 weeks, just trying to make it better each time until it's the final product. With us, we are very much trying to encompass, as Falmouth teaches us, agile, but to some extent, I almost feel like we have a waterfall process because we need so many pieces from like our team of artists
Yeah.
ready that things can slot in. It's why when I've been able to show off like examples of the non-Euclidean geometry, it's been like, look, it's going to look really pretty when everyone's done, but for now, this is my ugly designer version.
Yeah. No, definitely.
But it's all coming along, and honestly, I'm just very excited to see it
Yeah,
done.
yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm so excited because this is one of my favorite projects, honestly, out of all of them
Thank
that
you.
I've heard.
That means a lot.
Just
Pit.
just the way it works, and obviously the long week. Each
Yeah.
day it's gonna get worse and worse and worse for
Exactly.
your character,
That's
and
it.
you have to go through the environment and figure it out yourself
Yeah, exactly.
while
So
everything's changing around you. And I just
eventually trying to like escape this house.
yeah,
Like,
I just want to know what's your favorite parts about the game individually.
I'm biased towards the narrative aspects. We were lucky that our team actually bought into the Jungian theory because when we got the psychedelia brief, I was really trying to shoehorn it in because I found it really
I remember you
interesting.
being like, Cyclops, some stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And they took onto it, so I'm really glad that we're able to
Yeah.
to work with that stuff and that Isaac and I can do lots of fun dialogue with all these characters.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah, for me, I think it's a mix between the non-Euclidean geometry, because I do love it. But it is also the narrative as well. It's like I have such a soft spot for like the works of like David Lynch and
Oh, yeah.
like just these very esoteric pieces. So this is also just a chance for me to just like brainstorm and just like vomit out whatever like my mind's thinking.
Yeah, because you said it's had inspiration from Twin Peaks as well and stuff.
Absolutely,
So
yes.
Groundhog Day, that sort of
Oh.
thing. So that sounds great.
Yeah.
Before we go, I'm going to ask one more question.
Go ahead.
And it's a question I've asked to everyone so far today.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's say you walk into a Tesco
Oh no.
or an Asda.
Okay.
It's a
great.
meal deal question.
It's the meal deal.
I'm gonna
question.
say is
It's the meal deal.
Oh, I'm gonna get flamed. Oh.
Don't feel self-conscious, of course. You
No,
know.
I'm getting
Every
flamed.
answer is the right answer unless it's egg and cress, of course. But it's...
Okay, I'm not getting blamed.
I think I've got my answer.
Do you have yours?
Yeah, mine's I get mine pretty regularly. I always get a tuna sandwich of some kind.
Okay,
It's controversial. People hate tuna
that's
sometimes.
fine.
Tuna and sweet corn. And then I dig a little flapjack. A little flapjack.
flapjack.
Good. No, none of this
Ooh.
crisp
None of
stuff.
this crisp. Ooh,
I'm not a
fan of
that's
crisp.
yeah. I mean, you might
And
get a little bit
then
of hate for that,
A
but
Coke, a Pepsi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm so basic. I
Mm.
used to like eat fish fingers every night for dinner until I was 8. So I've got like the worst. I've not got a very developed food palate. It's probably like if I'm feeling really adventurous, chicken and bacon sandwich,
oh,
ready salted crisp.
that's really
I
adventurous.
know, and some
Already
Coca-Cola.
salted.
I know.
Though. Okay, what if you're not feeling adventurous? What do you do then?
Cheese sandwich.
Cheese sandwich.
That used to be my college go-to when
Simply
we had like
cheese.
the
Already
genuinely.
salted was you feeling adventurous. That's
They're my
the-
safe food. I just love it, alright?
Okay, fair enough. No.
Well, thank you guys for joining me
Yeah,
today.
go on.
Thank
I hope
you.
you've had a good time. It's been a pleasure
have
to
done.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
And thank you guys for watching. This is the end of our second stream. So it's been a big thank you to all the people who have watched and all the people behind the scenes and all the people that we've interviewed today. And hopefully their projects come along well. And we will see you in a couple months for the final podcast, just in time for Expo. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Take care.